The biggest, richest country in Latin America, Brazil, is in the midst of a massive political and economic crisis. President Dilma Rousseff is suspended and on the verge of being impeached, though her supporters say she's the victim of a right-wing coup. Joining me now from Sao Paulo is former Brazilian President Fernando Cardoso, who supports Dilma's impeachment. Thanks for joining me on Up Front. Fernando Cardoso, suspended President Dilma Rousseff says she is the victim of a legal and political farce. She says when an elected president is suspended because of a crime she hasn't committed, the name we give is not impeachment, but a coup. Why is she wrong?
Well, first of all, because she incurred in some, mistakes, aggressing the Constitution, in fiscal questions, in using money without congressional authorization, etc. So this is not a crime in the sense of the penal code. It's a crime against the Constitution. It's a political crime. It's the lack of responsibility.
You say political crime. That's why impeachment proceedings were opened against her. One of the main charges is that she allegedly manipulated Brazil's budget in violation of the law of the Constitution, so-called fiscal peddling. But you did that too when you were president, didn't you? Back in 2001, 2002, you're accused of peddling around $300 million a year in terms of today's currency exchange rates.
Well, in my case, first of all, the new law was during my government, in 2001, so-called fiscal law. So we are adjusting ourselves to the new law. So we postponed some payments by $2 or $3 million of dollars. But now we are not referring to 2 millions. We're referring to 14, 16, 20 billion dollars. It's quite different.
Fernando Cardoso, the rest of the world is looking at Brazilian politics and wondering, is it riddled with hypocrisy? Acting President Michel Temer is not only banned from running for president for 8 years for violating campaign finance rules, but Brazil's Supreme Court is also considering a motion of impeachment against him as well. The former Speaker of the House, who led the impeachment campaign against Dilma, has been accused by the Attorney General of taking millions of dollars in bribes. His successor, the current Speaker of the House, is accused of taking bribes. The current leader of the Senate is also accused of taking bribes. Do any of these people have any credibility when it comes to impeaching Dilma?
Well, you mentioned three important political Brazilian leaders
4 people.
Who belong, 4 people maybe, who belong to the Democratic Party in Brazil. The Democratic Party was one of the supporters of Lula and Dilma. So the reason why they moved against her is different from what is my reason why I'm supporting now the impeachment. Because the Brazilian people, they massively protest against the government.
But you don't see any irony that the former Speaker of the House, the man who led the impeachment campaign, is then removed under corruption accusations. You don't see the irony?
They were not the leaders of the campaign for the impeachment. The campaign for the impeachment came from people, for the masses on the streets, not in Congress. The Congress maybe opportunistically move it toward the same position.
Okay, so you accept opportunistically. Just on acting President Temer, I know you support, as you say, impeaching Dilma. Do you support impeaching Temer too? Because according to a recent opinion poll, 58% of Brazilians are in favor of impeaching the acting president. That's not very far off the 61% who back impeaching Dilma. So if you want to listen to the people, you need to support impeachment of both.
This is a misleading information. 60% or more of Brazil are not supporting, are not voting in favor of either Dilma or Temer. They are not asking for Temer to be impeached.
58% of Brazilians, Fernando Cardoso, say they want to see Mr. Temer impeached, according to a poll published by Datafolha in April.
Well, that's not to my knowledge. But anyhow,
well, I'm telling you now, there's 58% of Brazilians, according to a poll in your country. So do you support the impeachment of the acting president? Because you say you listen to the people.
Listen to me. Let's explain to you first. You have to have more information.
Well, you're the one who doesn't have any information of the polls, with respect. I'm telling you information.
Okay, my party is moving a process against Dilma and Temer by accusing both of them to have manipulated elections by using money coming from not clear sources. So that's my position.
So do you support the impeachment of the acting president, yes or no?
This is not impeachment. It's a different process.
I accept that. I'm asking you a question, though. Do you support the impeachment of Mr. Temer? Yes or no?
What is the reason? What is the reason? The constitutional reason for that? Impeachment depends on the Constitution and on the lack of basis, political basis inside Congress. That is not the case with President Temer.
Just to broaden it out, this whole anti-Dilma movement came out of the wider multi-billion-dollar corruption scandal involving Brazil's state-run oil firm Petrobras, the biggest ever corruption scandal in Brazil's history, perhaps in the history of any modern democracy. But it's a scandal which has affected not only Dilma's government and ruling Workers' Party, it's also been linked to acting President Michel Temer, to the former Speaker of Parliament who started the impeachment motion, and to your PSDB government too. When you were president in 2002, your government is alleged to have received a $100 million bribe during Petrobras' purchase of an Argentine company.
No, sorry, I protest. This is not true.
You deny what these two former accusation. So you deny what these two former Petrobras directors, Nestor Severo and Senator de Amaral, have revealed in their plea bargains. They say that there are documents showing...
No. They never show any document. Only Severo said that during the process of buying this refinery, someone vaguely received, imagine you, $100 million.
Did somebody in your government receive $100 million or not from Petrobras?
No, this is not true in a protest, because you cannot say that without giving data, number, person, so on and so forth. This is not true.
You can't blame Dilma and her supporters for calling this a coup, now that we have a secret phone recording that was released in May, in which the then planning minister, Romero Jucá, I believe his name, basically plots to remove Dilma and install Temer in an attempt to shut down the Petrobras scandal investigation, in which he and other officials have been implicated. He's since resigned, of course, but he's on the phone saying this is why we should install Temer and get rid of Dilma, because of Petrobras.
The scandal in Petrobras is completely, entirely in the hands of people close to Lula's and Dilma's government. And this is very serious.
No one is questioning the seriousness. I'm asking you a specific question about this minister. When he's on the phone saying to someone else, we have to change the government to be able to stop the bleeding, and the other senator says the easiest solution would be to put in Michel. When we hear that, what else can we call it but a coup?
Sorry, but what was the result of that? Zero. The process is, the trial is proceeding. The justice is independent, and they are continuing to do what has to be done.
Okay, Fernando Cardoso, there have also been some pretty serious accusations against you personally on the corruption front. In February of this year, Brazil's Ministry of Justice opened an inquiry to investigate claims that you used the company Brazif to make monthly payments to a woman who is allegedly your former mistress. What's your response to those accusations?
First of all, her denied the fact. Second, the business company said that's not true. Third, she started to work with that business people in the year 2013, when I was no more president. And I had what has been, if this is an accusation, we have a love affair, was 20 years before. So this is political misinterpretation.
She says you arranged $3,000 monthly payments through the firm, and the Ministry of Justice are investigating.
No. She refused that. She said this is not true. She came to Brazil, and on the TV, she denied the fact, and this is simply not true.
So then why are the Ministry of Justice and the police investigating it then? Why are they investigating it?
You know why? Because people very close to PMDB put this in the social media. And I like the Dilma Minister of Justice, and he was forced to open a discussion. I asked the people about it. You gave me one concrete element. So this is not true. This is political attempt to demoralize a person who has correct life. Let me say no. Let's go one step ahead. This lady has a son. She said the son is mine. DNA proved it is not mine. And in spite of that, I like this guy. And I support his education all the time with my money, using the central bank and all that to send money to this guy.
But why do you send money to this guy if he's not your son? Maybe that's why people are suspicious.
No, because I had a connection with him. I like him.
One last question before we finish. Do you worry that the entire Olympics in Brazil will be overshadowed this summer by these ongoing political crises in your country? That your country's standing in the world will be harmed at a time when everyone in the world is looking at Brazil?
Well, that's a pity. I don't know why, it's a real pity, the fact that the government of Brazil has been so undermined by corruption and by bad political decisions. It coincided with the Olympics. I would prefer to have a much more sound nation to show to the world. But unfortunately, in the last years, the corruption in PT government was so high and the lack of sense of reality so elevated that we are now facing a disastrous situation.
Fernando Cardoso, thank you so much for joining me on Upfront.
Thank you.
That's our show. Upfront will be back next week.